Hello everyone, so I'm back with my class 12th legal series lecture videos, and I am starting off with the center-state relations in this lecture. In the previous lecture we had studied about judicial review, right? And now I'm starting off with the center-state relations. Please, once again I'm telling you this, whichever article are coming across in the chapter, I'm reading it, I'm telling you to note it down and learn it. Please do learn it by heart, it is very important. It do come in various competitive exams as a legal GK, because that is a static portion of GK. It is not gonna change, right? Static is something which does not change, yes? So static GK is one which remains the same throughout the life, you can say. So these articles of constitutions and the IPC sections, these are some things which are static. They form a part of static GK. They are legal general knowledge as well, so learn them by heart, right? Let's continue. Judicial review has also been used in matters concerning legislative competence with regards to center-state relations. Means judicial review is also used in matters wherein there is a dispute regarding the center-state relation. When do dispute happens between center and state government? It usually happens when there is different political party at the center and a different one at the state level. Like, for example, if at the center we have BJP and at the state we have Congress, they are anti of each other, right? So then the dispute arises between center and state. So in those matters also, to resolve them, judicial review can be asked for. And it also concerns the legislative competence, means is the legislative capable? That also is checked. Since judicial review is very important for keeping a check and balance on legislature as well, so it checks the legislative capacity or competence in regard to the center and state relation. So center-state relation is nothing but the relationship between the two governments. Okay. Article 246 provides that Parliament has exclusive powers to make laws with respect to matters in Union List. Okay, so I think you have studied about the three types of lists which are mentioned in the Indian Constitution. You may have done this in your previous classes or so. And the lists, obviously, first of all, I will tell you that all these three lists, Union List, State List, and Concurrent List, all these three are in the 7th schedule of Indian Constitution. Okay, and list 1 is the Union List, list 2 is the State List. These are the demarcations given to these lists, and Concurrent List is the third list. Okay, Union List, obviously the word itself suggests union means the state, the central government. List means data or a group of things which are mentioned, that is a list. So Parliament has the power, or the central government has the power to make laws which are in the matters which are mentioned in the Union List, and this power is given to the Parliament as per Article 246. So again, remember the article number and what it has in it. So Article 246 of Indian Constitution is the exclusive powers given to the Parliament to make laws regarding the matters which are mentioned in the Union List, and all these three lists are in the 7th schedule of Indian Constitution. It further provides that both Parliament and legislature of any state have powers to make laws with respect to matters in concurrent list. So concurrent means common, okay? Concurrent means common. So whichever matters are mentioned in the concurrent list, decisions or laws can be made on those matters by both the state government and the central government. With respect to states, it provides that legislator of a state has exclusive powers to make laws with respect to matters listed in the state list. Obviously, state list may, whatever matters are there, that matters, decisions or laws will be taken by the state government. This article delivers clear division of lawmaking powers and room for intersection between center and state. which article are we talking about? Article 246. Article 246 gives clear definition that what is the separation of law-making power between the central and state government, because there are different list of matters which are provided to each of them, and it also gives a room for interaction or intersection of the two governments, because concurrent list is also in this article only. Judicial review helps demarcate legislative competencies and ensures that center does not exert its supremacy over the state. So judicial review is very important to keep a check and balance on the legislature, and so it checks that center does not supersedes or does not pressurize the state government, let it be of any state, चाहे वो सेम पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का हो या डिफरेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टी की स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हो, लेकिन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट उस पर सुपरसीड ना करे, उस पर प्रेशर ना करे. सो दैट हैज़ टू बी एंश्योर्ड बाय जुडिशरी, एंड दैट इज डन यूजुअली थ्रू द जुडिशियल रिव्यू. And likewise, states do not encroach upon matters within the ambit of center. So center does not intervene with the matters of the state government and the decisions which the state government is taking as per the powers or the list of matters that it is having, and vice versa, right? So center should not interfere with the matters of policies that are taken by the state government as per the matters mentioned in the state list, and also state should not intervene with the decisions that are taken upon by the central government as per the list of items mentioned in the union list. Next is fairness in executive actions. In matters of executive or administrative actions, judicial review practice of courts have often employed doctrines like principles of natural justice, reasonableness, proportionality, and legitimate expectation. There is a Latin phrase, audi ultra partem. Now this means that hear the other side. Means, I think you may know that whichever dispute arises, and if a suit is filed in the court of law for resolution of that dispute, then the verdict is not announced after listening only of one party. Both the parties are given a chance to present their sides. Both the parties are given equal opportunities to represent themselves, to present what their side of statements are, and then the final verdict is announced by the judge or by that court. So audi ultra partem is a principle which Indian judiciary has implied into itself, and it does not give a verdict without hearing the other party. So always remember this Latin phrase, these phrases, legal terms, these Latin phrases are basically known as legal terms, and these also are static GK part, so you have to learn it. These word meanings are never gonna change, right? So these Latin phrases or the legal terms, legal idioms, you can say, their meanings will also not change forever, so you have to remember them as well. So audi ultra partem is prevalent in Indian system of judiciary as well, wherein the verdict is not announced till both the parties are given an equal opportunity to be heard. This phrase is an established principle and was applied by Supreme Court in several cases, including landmark decision of Menka Gandhi versus Union of India. So Menka Gandhi versus Union of India, it is a very popular case, and it was regarding the right to travel abroad, which is under Article 21 of Indian Constitution. Okay, so from this came the right to travel abroad as a fundamental right under Article 21. Please remember this thing. Her passport was confiscated by governmental authorities without giving her any chance of prior hearing. So what happened in this case? Menka Gandhi's passport, she was going by a plane, and meanwhile her transport was confiscated and her side was not heard. That why, when she asked that why you have confiscated my passport, they said their further allegations, but they not heard that what is her side. So the governmental authorities confiscated without giving a chance of hearing, without hearing her side. Invoking its judicial review powers in administrative matters, Supreme Court held that in matter of confiscation of passport, a hearing should have been given to the petitioner in trust of principles of natural justice. That means it is a principle of natural justice that the person whom you are saying that he is guilty, that guilty person also should be given a chance to be heard. That guilty person, as per you who is guilty, that should also be given a chance to present his or her side, right? Consequently, a hearing was given and passport was returned to her. This is an example where court adopted principle of post-decision hearing in situations of urgency, where prior hearing is not feasible and recognized that a chance of hearing cannot be debarred completely. So this case was an example wherein after the decision was made by the government authorities, since it was a decision of government authority, so it comes under the administrative matters, right? And in this case, the Supreme Court took the cognizance and it intervened in the administrative matters because it was wrong. It had not given the other party side to be heard. So the Supreme Court intervened, and after the decision was taken by government authority, the right to hear was given to Maneka Gandhi. And so this is an example wherein after the decision, the right to hear, to be listened, was given to the petitioner or to the party. And it is usually held in matters of urgency wherein decisions are firstly taken and it is not feasible for the party to be, both the parties to be heard. But then it is said that okay, this is a matter in which after the decision has been taken by government authority, I am giving the right to be heard. That means after this, from now onwards, this right to be heard cannot be debarred completely. Means chance to be heard cannot be taken away completely from a person. It can be done before the hearing, before the decision, or after the decision, but the party has to be heard. To deal with questions of secrecy and related inefficiency and corruption in administration, courts have adopted judicial method of requiring disclosure of reasons in support of any order or decision delivered by administration. Means if there is a matter in which the secrecy has to be maintained, the decorum has to be maintained, if there is a matter of corruption in the government, then courts they have the power to ask for the disclosure of reasons that why you have done this, right? Courts have adopted a judicial method of requiring disclosure of reasons in support of any order or disclosure delivered by the administration. So any decision which is taken up by the administration, by the government regarding the corruption matters or inefficiency, then courts has the power to disclose it.